Peter Cullen was the kind of voice actor whose work became so deeply woven into popular culture that millions of people could recognize him without ever seeing his face. For generations of viewers, his commanding yet compassionate voice meant Optimus Prime, the noble leader of the Autobots in Transformers. For others, it meant Eeyore, the melancholy donkey from Winnie the Pooh. Yet Cullen's career reached far beyond those two famous characters. He worked in radio, television, animation, film, and video games, supplied the voice of King Kong in the 1976 film, played the original voice of Car in Knight Rider, and created the distinctive vocal effects of the Predator creature. On August 26, 2026, Cullen died peacefully at his home in Los Angeles at the age of 85, surrounded by his family. His death was confirmed by his agent, while his family asked admirers to remember his life through compassion, integrity, and loyalty. Peter Cullen was born on July 28, 1941, in Montreal, Quebec, Canada, to Henry and Muriel Cullen. He grew up with three siblings, Michaela, Sonny, and Larry, and his early life eventually led him toward formal theatrical training. He was part of the first graduating class of the National Theatre School of Canada, graduating in 1963. That background is an important part of understanding why his performances carried such unusual dramatic weight. Cullen was not simply a performer who happened to possess a memorable voice. He had classical theater training before becoming one of the most recognizable voices in animation. Long before Optimus Prime entered his career, Cullen was developing his craft through radio and television. In Montreal, he worked as a radio announcer, including overnight and weekend shifts at CKGM. He later became an announcer on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour from 1967 to 1969 and appeared in programs such as the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour and the Hudson Brothers Razzle Dazzle Show. Those early jobs demanded timing, projection, and vocal control, skills that would eventually become central to his animation work. His career, therefore, did not begin with a single lucky audition. It developed through years of performing in different forms of entertainment. One of the most revealing stories surrounding Cullen's greatest role involves his older brother Larry. Larry served as a United States Marine and was a Vietnam veteran, and Cullen regarded him as a personal hero. When Cullen auditioned for Optimus Prime in the 1980s, he drew on the qualities he associated with his brother rather than simply trying to create a stereotypical heroic voice. Larry's advice was essentially that a real hero did not need to shout or constantly act tough. A real hero could be strong enough to remain gentle. Cullen carried that idea into his performance, giving Optimus Prime an unusual combination of authority, restraint, and warmth. That personal connection explains something easily overlooked about Optimus Prime's voice. The character's power does not come only from its deep pitch. Cullen's performance is deliberately controlled. His Prime could issue commands with authority, mourn fallen comrades with genuine sadness, and speak to others with patience. Cullen later explained that whenever he performed the character, he felt as though his brother was still present in his mind. The voice, therefore, became more than an acting exercise. It was connected to Cullen's memory of someone he admired deeply. When Cullen first auditioned for Transformers, he understood that he was reading for a robot character that transformed into a truck. After learning more about Optimus Prime, however, the opportunity became much more meaningful to him. He ultimately won the role, and was also cast as Ironhide. The original animated series ran from 1984 to 1987, and Cullen's interpretation quickly became inseparable from the character. He also voiced several other Transformers characters, including Ironhide, Streetwise, Wingspan, Slugslinger, and Nightstick. Cullen's association with Optimus Prime survived a remarkable number of changes in the franchise. He returned for the Transformers, the movie in 1986, and later reprised Prime for the 2007 live-action film directed by Michael Bay. His involvement continued through subsequent films, animated productions, and video games, including Transformers, Revenge of the Fallen, Dark of the Moon, Age of Extinction, The Last Knight, Bumblebee, and Rise of the Beasts in 2023. His ability to return to the role across decades helped connect different generations of Transformers audiences. Perhaps surprisingly, Optimus Prime was not Cullen's only defining character. His portrayal of Eeyore demonstrated almost the opposite side of his vocal range. Beginning with the New Adventures of Winnie the Pooh in 1988, Cullen supplied Eeyore's slow, gloomy, and understated personality across numerous Pooh productions. The contrast between the determined Optimus Prime and the resigned Eeyore showed why Cullen was more versatile than his most famous role might suggest. He could make a heroic commander sound larger than life, and then turn around and make a fictional donkey's quiet pessimism emotionally memorable. His work in live-action entertainment contained equally unusual achievements. Cullen provided the voice and vocal effects associated with the creature in the 1987 film Predator, helping create the alien's famous clicking sounds. He also supplied the voice of Carr, the villainous prototype of Kit, in Knight Rider. Earlier, he performed the voice of King Kong in the 1976 film starring Jeff Bridges. These credits reveal a recurring element of Cullen's career. He was frequently asked to make non-human characters feel alive through sound alone. Away from the microphone, Cullen maintained a family life that he generally kept separate from the public spectacle surrounding his famous characters. He had 4 children, Angus, Claire, Pilar and Clay, and 3 grandchildren. His surviving family was with him when he died in Los Angeles. Public biographical sources also identify Molly Culver as his daughter-in-law. His longtime friendship with fellow voice actor Frank Welker is another interesting personal connection. Welker famously voiced Megatron, Optimus Prime's principal adversary, meaning the performers behind 2 legendary fictional rivals were themselves friends. Cullen also had a long-standing fascination with NASA and space exploration. His interest reportedly intensified after the Apollo 11 moon landing in 1969. That fascination produced a particularly meaningful moment in Transformers: Dark of the Moon, when Optimus Prime interacts with astronaut Buzz Aldrin. Cullen regarded that sequence as one of his proudest moments because it connected a fictional character he had voiced for decades with a real figure from one of humanity's greatest scientific achievements. His relationship with fans was another distinctive part of his later life. Cullen regularly appeared at conventions and encountered people who had grown up hearing his voice. He described emotional meetings in which parents sometimes became more excited than their children, particularly when they were introducing the next generation to Optimus Prime. Cullen understood that his work had become connected to people's childhood memories, and he often responded emotionally to that recognition. In an earlier interview, he described those encounters as deeply meaningful because they showed him that his performances had made a difference in other people's lives. Cullen received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences in 2023, recognizing a career that stretched across more than 6 decades. Remarkably, even late in his career he remained active. He voiced Thetis in the animated series Invincible, with his final role reported as appearing in the show's 3rd season in 2025. He also attended TIFF-CON Los Angeles in March 2026 alongside Frank Welker, where the longtime voices of Optimus Prime and Megatron appeared together to discuss Transformers, the movie. That appearance is especially striking in retrospect because it occurred only months before Cullen's death. There have naturally been rumors and speculation following Cullen's death, particularly because of his age and the sudden flood of tributes from fans. The factual position is much simpler. Cullen died on August 26, 2026, at his Los Angeles home, and his agent confirmed the death. His family stated that he died peacefully surrounded by loved ones, but no cause of death has been released publicly. Claims assigning a specific illness or cause without confirmation should therefore be treated as speculation rather than established fact. There is also no reliable basis for rumors suggesting that Cullen had secretly been replaced as the definitive Optimus Prime voice before his death. His recorded history shows that he continued returning to the character and participating in Transformers-related appearances deep into his later years. What makes Peter Cullen's story particularly enduring is that his most famous performance was rooted in something intensely personal. Optimus Prime was an enormous cultural figure, but Cullen did not approach him simply as a mechanical superhero. He drew inspiration from his brother Larry and transformed memories of courage, restraint, and gentleness into a voice that eventually became recognizable around the world. The result was a character who could sound powerful without becoming cruel and authoritative without losing compassion. Cullen leaves behind a career that crossed generations and mediums. He was the voice of a heroic Autobot, a melancholy donkey, a giant ape, a sinister artificial intelligence, an alien predator, and many other characters, yet his influence cannot be measured only by the number of roles he performed. His voice became part of childhoods, family memories, convention halls, and decades of popular entertainment. His family has asked admirers to honor him not merely by remembering Optimus Prime, but by following the qualities Cullen valued: compassion, integrity, loyalty, and the principle of being strong enough to be gentle. After more than 60 years in entertainment, that may be the most fitting description of the man behind one of the most recognizable voices in animation.